Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you are interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, before we get started, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just open up the file that downloads and it'll automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. So take a second to go and grab that and then come back and we will get started. Okay, first things first, we will go over our canvas dimensions. They are 10 inches by 10 inches at 300 dpi or 3000 by 3000 pixels. The color profile that I'm on is the second one on the RGB list. And for our layers today, we've used 22 layers, so make sure you have that many available by checking here. If you do not, you can always lower your DPI here to get more layers. And this is the color palette that we're working with today. So we have our background colors, the night mode colors, and the day mode colors. So we will just go ahead and get started. The first thing that we'll do is set our background color layer by going to the layer menu and selecting this background color layer on the bottom. Click that to open up this menu and your color palette should show up here, and you can select the first color on the first row to fill our background in a grayish color. Then we will go back to our layer menu. We will be on layer 1 here, and we are just going to first make the background of each of our little windows of design here that we're going to make. So we will grab the second color on the top row, and we are going to grab our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. Let's just set that to maybe 50%. And we are first just going to draw a circle on the screen. So draw a circular shape, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle, maybe about this big, and then go ahead and fill it in. So click the arrow tool. We are going to make sure that snapping is turned on in the bottom left, and I have it set to uniform. So this is going to be the background of our little windows that's going to be on one side of the oval here, and we're going to duplicate it for the other side. But essentially we're going to have one bar on the top and then one bar on the bottom. So we do want to make this a good size. So it'll essentially be here. There will be another one on this side, but then you're going to have one on top as well. So let's just set it down here and just kind of resize it. Maybe about this big so that we can have two on top of each other. We don't want it to be ginormous, but we do want it to fill up a good amount of like the bottom half of the screen. And then the other one will be on the top half of the screen. So this is about the size that I'm going to go with. So we are going to snap it to the center of the screen where we see this horizontal yellow line, and I'm going to line it up kind of towards the left side, maybe leaving a little bit of space on the left side right here, and then again on the center yellow line like this. Then we're going to go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of this circle layer by sliding left and hitting duplicate. The new one that pops up, just click the arrow tool and drag it to the right side and try to leave about the same amount of space over here, maybe about like this. Again, make sure it's still on this yellow line so that these are on the same exact plane straight across from each other. And then we'll go to our layer menu and we are going to snap these two layers together with our fingers so they're on the same layer. Okay, and then we are going to add a new layer on top of this layer. Same color, we are going to grab the selection tool, set it to rectangle and turn on color fill. And I'm just going to start on this top side of this left circle here, the very top middle, about right there, and start drawing all the way across till we hit the top middle of this side and then hit the bottom on both to kind of fill in this middle area. It will not be perfect when you first do it, that's okay. Mine's pretty close, but as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap on the top and a big gap on the bottom. But now we will click the arrow tool, set it to freeform, and we will go ahead and just line this up. It should snap to the top of each of your circles here, so just kind of drag it around until it snaps. And you can also drag these to make sure they're not too far out. We don't want it to be too far where it's sticking off to the side either. So drag it until you can't see that anymore. And it lines up nicely, and it should be a nice perfect oval shape like this. Then we'll zoom out and we will go to our layer menu and drag these two layers together now so that this is all one big layer now. So now on my layer menu, I'm going to click on this layer, turn on alpha lock. I'm going to grab the third color on the top row, grab my selection tool again with rectangle and color fill turned on, and I am going to start a little lower than halfway on the left side here outside of my shape and drag a rectangle all the way across, covering this bottom section and then letting go. So it should look like this now. With alpha lock still turned on, we will click the wand icon, click Gaussian blur, and we will drag this up to about 50% to create a nice gradient here from top to bottom. And this is now what we will kind of draw everything inside. So we will now go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of this layer. The one on the top, alpha lock is already turned on, but double check that it is. Grab the first color on the second row and then go back to our layer menu, and on this layer, click it and click fill layer. So we now get this darker filled in color. Click the arrow tool, still have it on freeform, and we're just going to move it inside all the way around so that we have a nice edge of our little outer thing showing. Try to make sure it's even all the way around. That's why we couldn't set it to uniform. It would be like a little thicker on the edges and stuff. So try to make it even amount of space showing all the way around for our little background. But then with arrow tool selected and snapping turned on, we can go ahead and snap it to the center as well, where we see both yellow lines so that they are perfectly lined up with each other. Okay, and now we are ready to start adding stuff to this one. This is obviously our night mode. So we are going to add a layer above this, and we are going to grab the fifth color on the second row. Still on our monoline brush at about 50%, we are going to make the moon button. So we are going to just first make a circular shape, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, go ahead and fill it in, and then we'll just click the arrow tool, and on uniform, we can now change the size if we need to, but it's going to kind of nestle itself in right about here, and we do want a good amount of the blue showing all the way around, so I might downsize it just a little bit so it's about here, like so. Now we will go to our layer menu, click on this layer, turn on alpha lock, and we are going to do a similar thing that we did with our little outer oval kind of shape here, and we are going to grab the sixth color on the second row, grab the selection tool, and now we are going to start a little bit above halfway and start on the outside of the circle and then drag to cover the top section and then let that go so it will fill in. Click the selection tool to deselect it and then click the wand icon, Gaussian blur, and this time maybe up to about 40%. Then we will go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of this circle layer. The top one, let's go ahead and leave alpha lock on. Grab the seventh color on the second row, go back to our layer menu, this top one that we're on, click on it and click fill layer so we get that one fully filled in with gray. Then let's click the arrow tool, make sure it's set to uniform, and we are going to downsize it a little bit and then recenter it on our circle here. Snapping should help you center it so that we can see the nice ring all the way around. Get it to be a good size so that you can see just a little bit all the way around, not too much, but you do want to see it. So this gives a nice kind of 3D effect to our button here. Okay, then we will go to our layer menu, add a new layer above this layer, and we will make our moon holes. So let's grab the eighth color on the second row now, same monoline brush at 50%. And we are just going to make some little circles all over this. So let's make a circle shape, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen. Make another one, a little bit smaller maybe. Another one. And then maybe some really small ones. Like this. And then let's go ahead and fill those in. The small ones, maybe even just with your pen. Okay, I might click my arrow tool and move it just a little bit. This one got really close to the edge, so adjust your shapes if you need to. If you want to move any of them around, you can even click the selection tool, set it to freehand with color fill turned off, and you could select around just one of the circles and move it if you want to, something like that. But arrange them however you would like and do as many or as few as you want. And then we will go to our layer menu. We will make a duplicate of this layer, so slide to the left, click duplicate. The top one, we will click on it, turn on alpha lock, grab the 9th color on the 2nd row, go back to this layer on the layer menu that we turned alpha lock on for on top, click on it, click fill layer, click it again and set it to a clipping mask so it will clip to this darker layer below it, and that way we will click the arrow tool, we will drag it just to the right a little bit, and that will kind of create a shadow. I moved it down a little bit too, so I moved it to the right and down a little bit to create a nice little shadow to make those look kind of 3D as well. And that completes the little moon button that we have. So now we will add the mountains and the stars, and then we will be done with night mode and we will move on to day mode. So in order to do this, we will go to our layer menu, we will find our dark blue capsule shaped layer here, and we will add a layer above it. Click that layer, turn it to clipping mask. And then we'll go to our color palette and select the 2nd color on the 2nd row. Same monoline brush, but let's drop the size to maybe 10% so we can get some nice thin lines. And this is going to be our backmost mountain. So, and I am going to start all the mountains a little higher on this side and get lower on this side. But our backmost mountain will be higher than our front one, so we do want to put it up pretty far so we have enough room in the front to make the other two. So I will maybe start right about halfway and start kind of making up and making some little like mountain peaks and shapes and things all the way across until I get to the outside, and then I'll just drag my pen around to connect back to the first part and then fill it in. If yours doesn't fill in, you might have a gap, so just make sure you get that connected and then go ahead and fill it in. Okay, then we will go to our layer menu, add another new layer above this one, click it again and set it to clipping mask as well, and it will still clip to this dark blue background layer that we have. Grab the 3rd color on the 2nd row, same brush, and we will just do the same thing, again starting a little bit lower maybe. It can go higher in some places, but not always. We want it to be mostly in the front, and then again drag it around to connect to the beginning and fill it in. And then one more time, add a new layer, click on it, set it to clipping mask. Grab the 4th color on the 2nd row, and this is our very front mountain, so start a little bit lower and then do the same thing again one more time until we get to the bottom, and then connect it again and fill it in. So now it should look something like this. The last thing that we will do for night mode before we add a few shadows to really complete it is add the stars. So let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer, click on it, turn it into a clipping mask as well, but grab the last color on the 2nd row, same monoline brush. Let's increase the size to maybe 80%. And I am just going to go around and make a few little dots in the sky to be my stars, just filling in the parts where there is sky showing, pretty scattered, just until you kind of like where it's at. I think I like that. We'll stop there, but add as many or as few as you would like. And then lastly, we will add a few shadows to really make this all pop. So the next one we will add will be a clipping mask on top of all of our mountains and stars, but below our moon shape button. And we do want it to clip to our dark blue background shape. So let's add a new layer, click on it, turn it into a clipping mask, again above all of our other little clipping mask layers. Click the N on this layer and set it to multiply. And then let's grab the 5th color on the 2nd row, and we are going to grab the soft brush under the airbrushing category. We'll set the size to maybe 15%, and we are just going to lightly follow the shape of our pill right on the outside until we can see a nice little shadow kind of being formed inside of our shape on our sky and on our mountains and stuff. So go around a couple times if you need to, but we just want a nice shadow inside there like this. And then we will also go to our layer menu and find our back circle of our moon. So it should be the lowest circle layer that you have. Make a duplicate of it, select the bottom one, double check that alpha lock is turned on. It is for me. And we will, with this same color selector that we just used for our shadow, we will click on this layer and click fill layer. So now you should have a darker gray circle. Click the N on this layer and drag it up to multiply. Click the layer again and turn off alpha lock now. And then click the wand icon, Gaussian blur, and drag this up to maybe 30% to give a nice little extra shadow around our button. So this is what it should look like now, and that completes our night mode. So we are going to essentially copy a lot of the layers to do our day mode with, so that like our button is the same size, our shadows are the same, everything's the same size and stuff. So let's go to our layer menu and let's first just kind of put all these layers together. So let's first select the top one and then slide right on all of the others to select them as well, all the way down right until we get right above our background layer. So every single layer is selected aside from our background layer, which we can't select. Click group, and then let's go ahead and click this arrow to minimize the group. With it selected, let's go ahead and click the arrow tool, and I am going to drag it straight down and make sure it stays on this yellow vertical line, maybe till we get about right here. And then I will go to my layer menu, and this time I will make a duplicate of the group, like so. And then I am going to click the arrow tool and move it up, keeping it on this vertical yellow line, or the blue one. Mine is blue this time, trying to line it up with this bottom one. And just give a good amount of space in between them, so there's about the same amount of space on the top and bottom. I might need to move this one down just a little bit more to make it about the same, like so. And now we will take this top group and we will start adjusting everything to now be our day mode. So let's just start from the bottom. So let's open up all the layers and let's start from, okay, so the very bottom one is our gray like background shape. We will leave that one alone. But this next one up is our dark blue background. We will change the color on that. And to do so, make sure alpha lock is turned on. Mine already is, but let's just go to our color palette, grab the first color on the last row, go back to your layer menu and this dark blue background layer, click on it and click fill layer. So you should now have a light blue layer. So we are now actually just going to delete our mountain layers. That is totally fine, and delete our star layer. Okay, next up is our shadow layer. It is way too dark for this light blue that we have. So click on it and turn on alpha lock. And then we will go to our color palette and select the 7th color on the 2nd row, this kind of lighter gray. And then go back to our layer menu, and on this layer with alpha lock turned on now, click on it and click fill layer. So now you should get a much lighter shadow. Do the same thing with this next shadow that's underneath our circles. So click on it and turn on alpha lock, and then we already have our color selected, so click on it and click fill layer, and you should see it turn a little bit lighter. Okay, next let's just go ahead and get rid of our moon shapes that are on top of our circle button. So now we just have our 2 circles, and we'll use the same 2 circles. Okay. And if your shadow still looks ridiculously dark and scary on this one like mine does, what we can do is either click on the M on this layer to bring up this menu and drop the opacity down a little bit if it's still a little too dark. I don't mind the darkness of it as much as I just think the edges are a little too not blended enough. So I'm going to grab my eraser tool and I'm going to open it up and set it to the soft brush under the airbrushing category, which is the same brush that we used to create the shadow. And maybe we'll set it to like 15%, and I'm just going to start from the inside and lightly just kind of follow the same shape but erase it essentially to kind of hopefully have it blend a little bit better. Okay, so something kind of like that is a little bit better. So you can even do a combination. You can lower the opacity a little if it's too dark. You can do a little bit of erasing. It doesn't look so bad on my bottom one because of the darker colors, but up here it just looked a little scary. So we don't want that. So that's what we'll do with that to kind of fix that problem that we had. But now we will go to our layer menu. And we essentially just need to flip this whole thing now that we have. So let's go to our layer menu and just grab this whole group at the top. Click the arrow tool and click flip horizontal. And boom, now we have the button on the other side where we want it. So now we will start changing this into a sun. So let's first go and grab this bottom circle layer here. And it is already set to alpha lock. That's what we want, so double check that yours is still set to alpha lock. Grab the 5th color on the last row and go back to our layer menu on this layer here. Click on it and click fill layer to turn the whole thing a light yellow. Same stick on this layer and we will go to our color palette and now grab the 6th color on the last row. Grab our selection tool, set it to rectangle with color fill turned on. And we are going to start on the outside here on the bottom and cover up until we get to about 1/3 of the bottom half being covered and then let go. Then click the selection tool to turn that off, grab the wand icon, click Gaussian blur, and we will drag that up to maybe 30% to give a nice grading effect there. Then let's grab the 7th color on the last row. And we are going to go back to our layer menu and find this top circle layer here. It's already set to alpha lock, but double check that yours is. And then go ahead and click fill layer to fill in with this brighter orangish yellow color. And then on the same layer with alpha lock still turned on, we are going to grab the last color on the last row, this lighter yellow. We're going to click the selection tool. This time set it to ellipse with color fill turned on. And we're just going to start in the very bottom of our circle here, a little bit outside, and start dragging up and to the right to kind of create a little circle in the bottom right section of our circle, and then let it go so it will fill in like this. Click the selection tool to deselect it, click the wand icon again, Gaussian blur again, and let's do another 30% to just give some nice movement to our sun. Since we're not going to do what we did here for the moon, this will give our sun some personality. And then the last thing to do is just add the clouds and the birds in the sky. So again, we'll do that similar to how we did the mountains below. So back in our layers here, we will add a new layer right above our light blue background layer. Click to add a new layer and it should automatically turn into a clipping mask since we have this clipping mask above it. So on this layer, we will grab the 2nd color on the 2nd row and we will grab our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab, set to about 50%. And I am just going to draw a big cloud in the background, similar to our mountain. This will be our backmost cloud, so we're going to have it take up a good chunk of the screen. So I'm going to start on the right side here behind my sun and make a curved line, a curved line, a curved line, a curved line, all the way around kind of in different maybe some smaller ones, maybe some medium ones, maybe some bigger ones until we go off the top of the screen here. And then again, I will drag around until I connect to the beginning and then fill it in. Then let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer above this one. Should already set to a clipping mask. And then let's grab the third color on the last row. And we are going to just do the same kind of thing, a little bit lower this time. And also going off the screen, and then again, connect it and fill it in. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing one more time, just like we did for our mountains. Add a new layer. It should set itself to a clipping mask, and then we're going to grab the fourth color on the last row and do the same exact thing. Again, connecting around and filling it in. And then lastly, we will add another new layer. And with the same color, actually, we are going to just use our monoline brush and in the sky, make some birds just by making some simple V shapes in the sky, maybe 3 of them of varying sizes like this. And then that does it for our drawing today. So make any adjustments that you need to with your shadows or designs, anything that you want. Otherwise, that is it, and I hope you had fun. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. While you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching!